Hi Gary and Eddie, this is Leah Pike and I am out on the southwest coast path. I'm doing the section from St Ives to Hale and almost at Hale now. It was tough going yesterday, it was windy and I did Betalic to St Ives. Gosh, that was difficult. But I've got 300 days to get fitter and stronger, so fingers crossed. Really enjoying the podcast. Love listening to all of your ARC interviewees. Have a fantastic day and welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast, and thanks for the intro, Aaliyah. Southwest Coast Path. What a beautiful place to train. I remember, wow, could be 30 years ago going to St Ives. It's such a dreamy place. So it's really easy to visualise just how stunning that bit of coastline is. Yeah, good luck with the ARC. She sent that in quite a while ago. So how many months out are we from the ARC? It's a January.
Oh, we got 6. Yeah, she's doing well. She's prepping already.
It's far away in the distance to not be really stressed about it.
When I look and I go 5 weeks, how much fitness can you gain in 5weeks.com? I'm writing the book. Panic training has started.
Well, please keep those intros coming. Email them to hello@teaandtrails.com. Kudos, high fives and big hugs to all our patrons and everyone who has joined Patreon over the last week. For the price of a cuppa, you can help keep the lights hot and the mics on and save big time on all your trail running essentials. Loads of brands offering great discounts over there. Don't forget, if you like a snood or a bobble hat, then you need to add your address to Patreon. No address and no goodies. We have a new Patreon perk. You sorted this one out, Eddie. Thanks very much for this.
I know, it's unusual.
Ocean Lube. Some of you at the Tea and Trails Ultra might have seen little tubs of Ocean Lube. Well, they are offering 15% off to all you lovely patrons and 10% off to our wider community. So yeah, pop over to Patreon for 15% off or use the code Tea and Trails for 10% off. Check them out at www.oceanlube.co.uk. You are a big fan, Edwina.
I met my chafing nemesis. What would be the super? You are big on the superheroes. When I met my partner, my chafing partner, that would be our superpower, the chafers. Here we arrived. Me and Jacob shared chafing stories, and I said to him, you got to try this. You got to try this stuff. It's the only stuff I found that works. So he won a tub, and then he's already messaged me on the gram saying, Eddie...
Pictures or just text?
I can't share the pictures. Eddie, you have found the solution to my problem.
Incredible.
His only criticism was that it lasts too long. Didn't know what that bit meant.
That was the off-label use.
If you were a heavy, but we both said we didn't chafe one bit on the actual race day. You didn't hear me whine once, did you?
Well, we weren't racing. We were like on that zone 1, zone 2.
I don't know. Yeah, but that sweat up the road. Go and check it out if you are a heavy sweater like me. Thank you to X Miles Precision Pool Hydration, Harrier Trail Running, Phoenix Light UK, and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. X Miles is a family-owned, independent endurance sports retailer that provides nutritional goods, apparel, and accessories to help athletes perform and recover at their best. X Miles offers a wide range of high-quality products from leading brands, and the team of nutrition experts, cyclists, runners, and outdoor enthusiasts can provide expert advice and guidance to help you reach your goals. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just getting started, X Miles is the perfect place to find everything you need. Listeners can get 10% store credit at www.xmiles.co.uk via the link in the show notes. You're ready to go. You've got your nutrition dialed in.
Lakeland Nutrition is now, I think it's complete. It's tempting because it's all there, and I'm going away this weekend, and a couple of weekends I still will become the Lake District, but yeah, I can't dip into it. So I had a big drop from X Miles. Thank you guys. So along with all the Precision Fuel Hydration gels, chews and drinks, I will be carrying some Active Root drink mix chews, the Active Root chews, and some of that beta fuel gel too. I've kind of resigned to the fact that I am going to be sick at some point, so I've just got lots of little options along the way.
You're fueling on our zone 1, 2, occasionally zone 5. There wasn't any in between. There was just a run on Saturday. Your fueling was every time you set your watch, which was such a you were the wise one. You set your watch and it kept beeping, and I'd see your little hand go into your pooch and a little snack come out. You were very kind. You did. You were like... You were so funny. I were at the top of Skiddaw and you went, do you want my Kit Kat? And I could see in your eyes, you were like, don't eat my Kit Kat.
Don't
Please
say
don't
yes,
eat my
don't say yes.
I was like, no, fine, don't worry. I really wanted a Kit Kat. Very grateful to Yugoku Projects for producing the Tea and Trails cap. Gosh, this was admired over the weekend, wasn't it? Many people were saying, we want a piece of that. So if you want one, then you just got to do that bit of admin that we never do. All the tabs that are open, pop it in that basket. Head over to Yugoku Projects. If you're a patron, you get 20% off. All the discount codes are over at www.teaandtrails.com or in the show notes. We are coming out of the fug and we are...
How's your ring, Eddie? How is your ring?
I cannot tell you the distress of my ring when we woke up on Sunday in the wettest, dampest tent in the world. And then you start saying, so then when we do this next year,
oh,
and Lindsay read the room, she was like, read the room, poor Eddie. Lost her voice and her poor eyes wouldn't open and she had a 6-hour drive home. And you were like, so then it'd be really good. And Lindsay was like, read the room, Gary.
I do with Lisa. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm kind of discussing whatever's going to happen that day, and she's like peeling her eyes open.
Yeah, I was like, no, don't talk to me. It was heavy distressed after the weekend. It had been pummeled.
We'd only done like 19 miles, but I just felt like I had a walloped over the weekend. Monday, Tuesday, struggling. I didn't even steal. I just fell asleep on the sofa on Sunday night.
Shall we talk through the weekend? Shall we go from like, what do you think people are interested in, Gary? They want behind the scenes, don't they?
Well, I don't think I told you at the time how early my journey was because I didn't want to put pressure on your journey. I got to Carlisle at 8:30, 8:20 in the morning.
I hadn't even left Scotland.
What time?
Well, no offence, Gary, you were a late requester of a lift. I had to take the kids to school, because I'd get arrested if I didn't. There was no way I could go, I'm going to leave earlier. So it was kind of like, I'm not going to be home till 9. And then I literally chucked stuff into bags. I did look at the weather forecast, but I wasn't prepared.
I'm always the optimist with the forecast. I just never think it's going to be as biblical as it was. It was okay.
So you messaged me saying, can you pick me up from Carlisle? Which is, there's nothing like if you've got like a 4-hour journey, someone asking you to detour off that journey and drive into a town and pick them up from a train station.
One-way system roadworks. I loved it.
No, I don't mind at all. So yeah, sorry, you had a heavy, 4 hours?
But I thought, get in, I wanted to watch the film George again. I thought I was going to do all that, do loads of prep. And I've now joined up every Wi-Fi network.
Did you not think of moving around Carlisle to go and find a cafe or something?
I've signed up for every one. They're all awful. Now my inbox is just spammed with every bloody Costa, Aviva, every hotel in Carlisle. They were all awful. What I had to do in the end was, I called Esme, my IT support. She cranked up the computer. She had to log into Patreon, then go scroll down the Patreon perks, find the link for the film George, download the film George, upload George to OneDrive, and then I could watch it on my phone.
Esme, only a lady of that generation would be able to do that.
She crushed it.
Sort of
She
thing.
absolutely crushed it.
A couple of minutes, she was like, it's there, Dad, it's sorted.
Yeah.
How they do that. My teenager, he gets hold of my phone. He's like, I'm like, you're going too fast. And he's like, and there's stuff that I didn't even know that you could do.
What was it like though when you went in the event field to see all the tents, everything being set up?
I didn't realise it was going to be like that, Gary.
That was exactly how I'd visualised it.
Is it? Because I was like, I didn't realise there'd be like all that branding.
And the big screen. When I saw the tent, I was like, shit, that's a big tent. There's a lot of people going to be in there. I was like really stressed out. But yeah, I just thought, I keep saying every week pretty much how fond I am of the Lakeland 100. Goodness me, there's not the same footfall of people that you would get at the Lakeland 100 just yet, but it really had that potential. You could just see people milling around, fire pits, tents to keep people covered out the rain, the vendors setting up and stuff like that, and like a big tent where there was a stage where we showed the George film, then on the Saturday night we did the live podcast. Yeah, I could really visualise, and then we were there, we were the only tent in the field at first.
Our tent putting up skills were, I would say, poor to terrible.
We didn't even put the guide ropes in properly, did we? And then on the Friday night, I just had half the tent bashing me in the head for 4 hours.
So funny. It was kept like sort of half blowing one way and then it would half blow the other way. And I was like, why is Gary moving around so much? How many P's is he going for? Anyway, we got the tent set up and then we did a little tour of the site from Libby, and that was really exciting. And then the time just like, what did we do, Gary, then? Oh, I suppose we were planning for Jacob, weren't we? We were planning what we were going to ask him. We watched the film again to get a bit more of a vibe. We sort of planning the next day. day. And then very quickly, the time just went. We had a sensational burger, of which was the start of the burger weekend. And then when I came back on Sunday night, Bryn was like, I've got burgers for tea. Yeah, because he thought, what was she like? Like, she'll love her like burgers and sweet potato chips. I ate it, Gary. I take that.
If you're a veggie, I'm not too sure if meat eaters could eat anything, but I had some comments from friends who were veggies and they were super grateful that they just had a real good options as far as what they could eat. Normally it's kind of just jacket potatoes and other bits and bobs like that, quite lazy options, but yeah. And as a meat eater, I never thought...
I've never seen anyone eat a veggie sausage like you embrace that veggie sausage. In fact, you didn't even say, do you want a little nibble on my sausage, Eddie? Which was just waiting.
That's low-hanging fruit. But the time went super fast. And, you know, it was great to see everybody. This is one of the takeaways from the weekend that we see the downloads, we see the people in the Facebook group, loads of familiar faces, but then actually chatting with these people face to face, that was pretty wild and pretty overwhelming, to be honest, to see people who travelled from far and wide to come to the Tea and Trails Ultra. Yeah,
we
really
forgot to do so many things we forgot to do on the podcast, but we forgot to do the Who's Done Come Furthest, because we met people from Belgium, Ireland, Australia. I don't think the Australia lady had come specifically for the race, but we pretended, didn't we? We were like, so good to go. I was very anxious about the whole weekend and I think you're better as well at the meet and greet. You were great. People would come up and be like, Gary, Eddie, have a selfie. And then you'd be able to launch into like a really good, you'd ask them like a question and you'd go off and that
media training.
Your media training really, I felt I was a bit more clunky and a bit more like.
Isn't that bizarre though? Because the general nuts and bolts of the podcast, and I think our listeners will agree, when it's like interviewing a guest or just the back and forth between us two, you smash it. You know, I would say my skill set as far as the podcast is concerned is kind of when the microphones are off.
Invoices.
Invoices. I've got incredible patience. I can sit for like 10 hours editing a podcast quite merrily. And I can get through these recordings and that's fine. But yeah, I found that whole environment.
I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anyone else apart from you by my side. I definitely felt there were moments when I would hold on to you. Like, but just having you next to me, it's like, our relationship is more than like a brother, really. I'm like your annoying fifth sister. How many have you got?
Older but younger sister.
So anyway, I was very anxious about the whole thing. Evening rolled around. We met Jacob, and we've never met him face to face. You ever met him face to face?
I might have been on the start line with a race.
We've had a lot of messages with him. Obviously, he came on the podcast, and so you sort of feel these people, and instantly, again, you feel like you're just the nicest person. And we turned to him, we were like, oh, we've never done this before. Have you ever done this before? And he said, hundreds. Took the mic, and he was actually the film was incredible.
Yeah.
I forgot to say there were a lot of kids sitting in the front, and I thought,
we should have warned people. Got a very dear friend who's just lost his dog, and I should have. As
I was watching it, and I was thinking, but I'd known my children had watched it, but I'd also known they got very upset about it. And I thought, I was just reading the room going, but anyway, it's life, isn't it? The story.
But it was like a tribute. I think it was a tribute, wasn't it? It wasn't this kind of sad.
Well, that's why he said his new dog didn't appear in the film, because it was. And also then him talking about it afterwards, you could sort of get to the he can now face that going, there was a reason George came into my life, and there was a reason that he left as well. And that's one of the most important things that children can learn as well, is that people come and go and they play a role in our life. And he was brilliant. He was so good. And I think for us live podcast virgins, he held our hands.
Did you stroke his legs? You did, didn't you? You did stroke his legs.
No, I did, Gary. Afterwards, I thought, can you imagine if that went the other way? And the man had stroked it. Oh my God. And I can't ask you to edit it out because it went there. But he did present his leg to me to go, did I ask? I didn't ask. I just went straight in, didn't I? But he was lovely.
I wonder if the stage was like, because there was a lot of chat about the pre-race email that went out with all the, I think, no banter, no mansplaining.
And it happened to be my photo that was on the pre-race email. Yeah. No hugs.
But maybe the stage was like Switzerland. It's kind of neutral. neutral. You can say what you do and say what you want.
All
there.
sorts went on that stage then, didn't it? That when the live podcast goes out next week, you'll hear all sorts. We had a lovely email from Gemma, who did the sign language, who I loved. I wish I'd been able to spend some more time with us, more time with her. And she sent us an email saying, I've never signed that before because and I have to say it was from the vicar. A lot of the...
we were pretty good.
But it was from your stuff you said. He did not create new stuff. It was anyway. We digress a little bit. So, that went well. Then we bedtime, raining.
Yeah, still no alcohol. Being a very good boy.
No. Cup of tea and then into our rather damp but cosy tent. Zip.
I think I heard somebody... I don't know who it was. I know Trisha's got form from Dragon's Back Race, but I heard a zip, then I heard a wee. I don't know who it was.
What, in the tent?
No, not in the tent. I'm not even sure if it was somebody left our tent. I'm pretty sure of this. I could have dreamt the whole thing, but I think somebody left our tent and then it could have been coincidence. Somebody else completely unconnected with our tent, but I definitely
How much weeing do you think was going on in that field at 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, there was definitely some trumping from the Thwaites pod. Trish said, I've never heard anything so loud in my life.
I had my earplugs on and even I could hear it.
Anyway, morning of the race dawned and the weather gods hadn't shined on us, had they? It was pretty wet through to your pants right from the start. I went off and saw the 7 o'clock starters for the 50k. There were quite a lot of people in that wave. And I'm so glad we did that wave, Gary, because the weather turned a lot in the afternoon and it just gave people that extra probably hour they needed. And also when you were up high and it was really windy, you weren't by yourself because the fields are kind of gathered together there. So I think that was a really good option. And there were probably like half of the people were walking, which also I was like, great, brilliant.
If memory's right, everybody got back in time for 8 o'clock, which was the podcast.
We smooched the last two at sort of 5 to 8, didn't we? Who came, who finished mother and son. That is that is good work to have got round their mother and son. So we saw them off and then we decided we were going to, you sort of planned our route. Did we actually do what you planned?
I had a little idea maybe we do go Blencathra, then do a bit of reverse Bob Graham, but that would have took us over a river.
I think also the thing is we'd have spent quite a lot of time just you and me and them trying to get to people. The route, the bits that we did were great because actually the only time we were on our own was just going up the back after...
Little cheeky shortcut to Skidder.
When you're not in the race and you're not thinking about being in the race as well, you can't believe how fast people go off when you're like not. I was like, these girls are like... That's all.
I was stripping off. Everything was coming off.
I was like taking all my... And I have to say, going up that first climb, we were right at the back talking to people. There was definitely the racing snakes that had gone off hard and people that were sort of just out for a day, which I loved. And Basil was at the back going, it's gone off fast. The wise old Basil finished 17th man, 20th overall.
He would have had a wonderful day then, just slowly going past people all day long and not really stressing about the cut-offs or anything like that.
So we were having a lovely time chatting away to all sorts of different people. It was brilliant. Lots of selfies. And then we got to the Blencathra car park, didn't we? And you went, Eddie. And I was like, I had to have such a chat with myself, didn't I? You were like, Eddie, stop. And I was like, you were very kind. You went, you can go on if you want, Eddie. You can go on if you want. Honestly, the like selfish part of me was like, okay. But that wasn't our job. We turned, you were the better person. We turned around.
You went over there. That would have been ages before I saw you again.
It wasn't the thing to be done. It was just, I was loving all the chat and it was lovely. So we turned around and we came back up. We had a quick chat with Mountain Safety who had met us before on Northern Traverse at like 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a chap from Maria that said, I was like, oh, hello, nice to meet you. And he said, oh, we've met before. We met at Glaisdale. I looked after you. Do you remember when you had those problems? And I was like, oh. He's like, I got you the cream. I was like, oh my God. And then we went back up to Skidder House where we kept the tea trolley and I did. I must have had like 6 cups of tea. Yeah, what a checkpoint there. Oh my gosh. Such a pity. It was absolutely pouring with rain. A couple of times I found myself under the marquee flat with like all the drips dripping on me. People would be talking to me about the race and blah, blah, blah. And I think I can't say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm getting really wet.
But we're talking about the weather as if it was like kind of really altered people's experiences. I think if you were moving,
yes, when we were moving, and when people were moving, people were in vests and saying,
even for like the
really
biblical
hot.
weather up on Skidder, people still had vests on. I saw a picture of Robbo with his vest on. So yeah, very windy and very wet in places, but not cold. But I absolutely loved it being Skidder House. You know, we'd see people coming in. We saw the 30K. Jacob come flying past.
I laughed with Jacob because there's that long path downhill, then it goes back uphill, and I watched his every step because I wanted to pretend I was like him when I was running later. And I was watching him going, when's he going to walk? When's he going to walk up that uphill? And I told him that, and he said, I knew you'd watch me. I knew you'd watch me. So he's like, don't walk, don't walk. But we saw so many. Yeah, it was great because we saw all the racers. They didn't come in for a cup of tea. Let's be honest, they were on a mission. From then on, everybody came in tea. The tea guy was busy.
There was flapjacks, there was brownies, there was cheese and pickle.
Bites.
What was it? Hummus sandwiches.
You did say to me at some point, Eddie, back away from the checkpoint snacks because they're for the people doing the race.
I did feel guilty because I carried enough food for what I thought would be an X amount of hours run, but we were out there for a lot longer than what I planned. So yeah, I was getting proper hungry. So I did. Apologies. Yeah, I did dip into the cheese.
I thought the taste test was important to do to check that Aria had done their cheese and pickle sandwiches justice, which they had. I could have eaten a lot more. They just were like, Eddie, back away with those forks.
It was such a great vibe, wasn't it, at Skidder House? I thought that was amazing.
And then we jogged down to see the 50K runners. And even though you wanted to go earlier, actually it was time to perfection, wasn't it? Because we saw a lot of the 50K racers and riders coming up. And that's when we did probably our best fartlek of running down 50 meters, stop, kissing.
Have a chat, selfie.
You were heavy petting everybody over that bridge for a long time. Selfie. Some people though were good and were just like kept going, and we'd be like, keep going. Robbo, we ran with Robbo for
couldn't keep up with him.
50 meters.
He was off.
We could keep up with him. We were running behind him, but it wasn't the sort of chatty vibe that we were looking for. So, but that was great to see him. Like, I loved the fact that those guys at the front and the girls at the front were working. They were working, and then they sort of passed through, and then there was a different vibe as my pals came round the corner, and we'd done about 3 or 4K down, hadn't we? And I said, can we turn around and go back with them? And then that was great because we caught up with Trish and Lucy and Bex, and we were sort of running along with them and chatting, and they were probably just moving a little bit faster than everybody else in that little group. But we ended up, I think people were like, as we sort of went past them, people were like, let's lock onto this train. So we ended up bringing up like about 20 people to Skiddaw House who were listening to all the chat. Poor Lucy went flying. My fault, because
oh my goodness, yeah.
I was talking to her, and she, you know, when you're talking and it's like single tracks, you've got to go behind, but you've got to get like right up someone's butt cheeks to be able to hear what they're saying. And she sort of turned around and slipped and went right on her. Did she?
Oh, I was wondering what, because she said she'd hurt her chest. Was it
she did her boob? I think she fell with the nipple of not her boob, but the nipple of the bottle, then went into her chest. Yeah, she jumped back up. There's been a few accusations that I tripped her, but you know, nobody saw, so we'll get away with that. That was lovely. We got to sort of like move a little bit within the race as well. Fed and watered those people, and then we stayed there for another 2 hours, maybe. Does it feel? No, yeah, but we wanted to make sure we saw. I think we pretty much saw most of the 50K coming through.
We will have missed some people, but yeah, I'm thinking.
We did our best.
About 90% of runners.
Then we direct injected up the back of Skiddaw. That was fun. That was when we realised it was a little bit windy. I don't think it was till then. As we went up, I was just using your butt cheeks as wind barrier.
It was like it was an oasis, wasn't it?
We couldn't see anything. Yeah. Well, we actually did stop, and I found the path on my watch, didn't we? Because we were like, are we on the path? Are we off the path? Yeah. But it wasn't like we could still hear each other. It wasn't like anything other than like a claggy, rainy day, really, until we literally got to the top where that gate is.
You just saw these silhouettes.
And this is when that sort of events team is worth its weight in gold, because we had various friends. We'd heard of people that would go, this was the first time they'd been to the Lake District. This is the first time they'd done an ultra. And the wind was really strong, really strong. Like, if you've not been it wasn't the 4 points of contact wind, though I know there were some people that had to do 4 points of contact.
I think you would have been grateful of linking arms with somebody at the top of Skiddaw.
Yeah, it was very brisk. We put our trust in Arena Events to run this event, and there was no other company that I think would have the resources and the experience. I was like, they'll be watching that wind speed at the top. There will be somebody, and the girls we met were like, there's somebody up there. And then as we came down and we met Steve, he does all the videos, and he was like, I got nothing for these reels. So we gave him a little bit, didn't we? Us getting those couple of people we'll hear was actually brilliant. And then we met a lot of people on the way down as well, didn't we? That we could just like reassure, hear the stories. And then we saw Duncan, I'm sorry, I don't know, the other chap was going up with Duncan, the mountain rescue, going back up. So we felt reassured that it was all, the area were watching it. Then when we got down to the finish, which we timed to perfection, actually, compared to how much dilly-daddling, we said we'd be back at 4. We were back at 3:45 or something. Everybody's first words as they were presented with their finish line and their mug was, oh my God, the weather. And so it turned into the adventure we hoped it would be, but it was an adventure in a different way. And I think that was brilliant. It was brilliant. All our Tales from the Trails are about that point of the race. I think if it had been a really hot day.
I was thinking this on Sunday and it was absolutely roasting. So I'm curious, the blue skies would have made incredible photographs, but it would be a completely different tale if you were like 30 degrees, whatever, in the valleys. What would be the best from like 90% finishes?
96%. I think that had a lot to me standing at Skiddaw House, eyeballing people when they came in, going, all right, off you go. I think I could be hired out for races where the drop off, Forest Hill at Western States, maybe like South
Mardale, Lakeland 100.
Mardale. Just, do you need to go and look Eddie in the eye? Do you need to go and talk to Eddie? And then actually the favourite bit of my weekend, Gary, was standing at the finish line. I did some big shifts at that finish line. I think you then disappeared to go and get your hot dog, but let's not.
I was trying to do some work.
Loved the finish line. Loved everybody seemed to have had a good time, which I think says massive amounts for the route. Then the next couple of hours, we were in a state of so nervous about this podcast, Gary, and how we're going to, and every time we tried to meet to like discuss how we were doing it,
couldn't get anything done.
We just couldn't get anything done. But I don't think we could have done that any different, because we kind of needed to do it.
Well, it evolved. We could have done it all off-site, but it kind of evolved as the day
went on, didn't it? Of like how we're going to do and how we're going to do the prizes. And so we couldn't, that it was a case of like, we kind of needed to do it the year before. But I was also quite aware that my best work is done winging it. We won't say anything more about the podcast because it did go really well. Though we forgot quite a few bits. And that's mainly because as we went up on the stage, I had also run out of any dry clothes. So I had on my middle son's jumper. So I had to keep my gilet on because it was so small that everyone would have been able to see half my midriff, because I'd found it in the car because I didn't have any more dry clothes. Anyway, in my pocket, I'd put the script and I only had 2 cards. We stood up on the stage to start the podcast. I pulled it out to show everybody. You had like 30 cards and I had 2. Pulled out the script card and I had Jacob's script from the day before and not the one.
I would have run a mile, honestly.
When you have those nightmares and you're standing on the edge and your son one suddenly says, you're on stage now. And you're like, what? What's the play? I don't know any of the words. I was like, so I just breathed and believed, Gary.
When I was standing there and the room was, I thought, this is a nice amount of people. I can cope with this. Because after Jacob's evening, I kind of thought, that was okay. We could do that. And then the room started to fill up. I was like, that's enough. And then it just kept coming.
Did you stand in the door? No more.
Then it was standing room. I was like, oh God, there's hundreds.
And there were people outside.
I
didn't. To be fair, I didn't look. I just focused on you. And
but for how fearful, I had this weird. Like, I'm not going to lie. Since my initial reaction when we got asked to do this was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stand on the stage. That's not something that I can really visualize myself doing. But actually being there, I felt
your initial when you started the Jacob thing, you were really nervous. And
well, no, what happened there?
You stood
I
in
couldn't
front
see
of
the
the
cards.
projector. You stood in front of the projector, and the Teen Trails Ultra was projecting onto your.
But
It was
what happened was
hilarious.
I looked down at the cards and I couldn't see them. So I was like, well, that's all my planning.
And
has
I
gone
did,
out the
and I
window.
thought, oh no, is he going to be like, oh no, Gary? But that was great because we learned a lot from that, just that initial thing. And I think that was then within a
Don't
minute,
use pencil.
your nerves went. And then I think when we got started the live, we just looked at each other and were like, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we're good at. We just like got into our groove of inane, useless chitter chatter. And then having Mel, Lucy, Robin and Trish was, and initially Jacob, was like, they are really good friends. So we felt very comfortable with them. And they were such supporters. They were such supporters all day as well. They'd been like great spirits on the course. People had loved meeting them. And then they were nothing but positivity and they brought the fun. And so they were the perfect guests as well because they were just, they are Teen Trails. They are exactly, as I said in the podcast, I thought it was really important to have women, but they were also just great ambassadors for our sport to see like super high achieving women that actually are just normal, good crack, great supporting. So we can't thank our guests enough. And I know that lots of people on the trails were put off by all their singing in general. Chitter chatter.
It was nice though. Eventually, when it was all finished, I treated myself to. Well, actually, no, my friends treated me to a couple of beers, and as I stumbled,
because you came into the tent,
just launched myself
I
into
love
the
you,
tent.
Trish. I love you, Trish.
After I'd kind of
Trish.
managed not to trip over any of the guide ropes, but oh wow, I had must be about 5 weeks that night. But yeah,
I didn't hear any tinkles.
Really, yeah, you know. For myself and Eddie, like Eddie said, just echo everything Eddie said, just had such a blast. And it was great to see so many, you know, we get the messages, we get the emails, we see the Facebook group, like I said earlier, but just to kind of put a face to the names, it was absolutely incredible from start to finish. Yeah, just feel blessed.
Our live podcast will go out next week.
Hopefully, whenever I get the files. Yeah.
We're still waiting for the files, so you'll get to hear that. Wonder what that will sound like. We've said thank you to Gemma for the signing, but also to Lawrence, who said he said he couldn't race because he had a sore knee. And me and Lucy were like, sore knee? Come on, Lawrence, you can do this. And then he sat on the beanbag before, and then when he got up, he was proper crippled.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I was like, oh my gosh. He gave me some very reassuring words before we started when I was having my minor panic attack, and then he was brilliant doing the conclusion as well. And again, he's what our community is all about as well. So we hope that'll go out next week. We won't say anything more about that. But we should perhaps just finish with a big thank you to everybody that came.
Everybody, even, you know, all the dogs that were there, the extended family too. It wasn't just about people turning up and doing the races.
Children. There were some little babies. Kudos to the parents that bought the kids, because it wasn't easy weather to then entertain your kids in the rain all day.
It's just such a good vibe. I think the whole weekend from start to finish.
We couldn't have asked for more. You know, we might not have been able to say thank you individually, but a big thank you from Gary and I, and a big thank you to Re Events for putting such an event on. Gosh, that is so much work as well behind the scenes that goes on as well. So thank you guys. Watch this space for 2026. Shall we just say there's talk?
Whispers,
but just need a little bit of counselling first before we sign on the dotted line.
Thanks, Harrier Trail Running, for sponsoring our Strava Club and the Tales from the Trail section. Harrier is the UK's fastest growing brand for trail runners, providing specialist kit designed for superior fit, comfort and function with the best customer support. Check them out for race vests, waterproofs, poles and other trail essentials at www.harrierrunfree.co.uk, where you can also download your free copy of How to Run an Ultra Guide. Use the code T10 for 10% off site-wide, or check out their brilliant trail bundles for a special 20% off. First up in the Strava Club is Martin Davies, 65.8 miles for the week, 24.5 mile long run, and 12,523 feet of vert. 24.5 long run. Loads of vert. Halifax. I did a marathon in Halifax years ago. That is incredible for elevation. I've got a little fact from Halifax too. It is the...
We haven't had a little fact from you for ages.
Halifax facts. Quality Street was born in Halifax. The purple one is my favourite. Do you have a favourite one?
Yeah, purple one. I think I'm going
like a little
with that one.
purple
They've gone
helmet,
downhill,
isn't it?
Gary, frankly, in my opinion. They're not what they were.
Oh, I think it's a 5-star confectionery.
Is it? Maybe I think I'd just been spoilt with Swiss and French chocolate. And when I came back, I was like, the cocoa percentage is not high enough for me.
This is total coincidence. Debbie Martin
I'm happy
Consani.
to see this.
111.5 miles for the week with the longest run of 100 miles. Now, if you were going to do a 100 miler, I love Lake 100 and I love 13 Valleys, but they're like 104, 115, I think. I'd love to do a hilly trail 100 miler that is bang on pretty much 100 miles with 17,575 feet of vert. If you're wondering what that is, Debs.
Western States, baby! Did you see the state of her kit? Did you see the state of that Dirty Mingers kit? Oh, God.
Well, you do the lot, don't you? I know it varies year by year, but you get snow and then red hot kind of desert conditions too. What a race. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
we should be
just
sitting down
allowing
with
her a
Debs.
few days to cool off. Let that let the skin calm down a little bit. I haven't had much more of a debrief than a few messages because of the time difference. So hopefully next week, because there's not many Brits that have done Western States. There's a handful. So really looking forward to deep diving into how she found that whole American Trail series, and she has done every single ultra race.
I saw the Instagram post. Yeah,
She is
ticked a lot.
incredible.
Last up is Warwick Taylor. I saw Warwick at the weekend. He was at the T and Trails Ultra, 59.5 miles for the week with the longest run of 33 miles and 9,993 feet of vert. Great run on Warwick, age group champ. And yeah, fingers crossed. There's a bit of a kind of sad end to Warwick's weekend. He lost an important bit of jewellery, so fingers crossed.
I think it's come down now that it's actually somewhere in the field where the cars were parked.
Okay.
I think he's narrowed it down with photo evidence. So whether we need to get someone out there with the metal detector.
Metal detectors. There'll be loads of people in Keswick with metal detectors. Yeah, fingers crossed. That would be amazing if it could be reunited. Heavy flex. Just wanted to get in touch to give a massive heavy flex to a fellow Patreon, Jamie Grant, who is currently on his final leg of Run Britannia, Rat Race's 5-week adventure from Land's End to John O'Groats, covering 1,000 miles over 35 days. This on its own definitely deserves a huge heavy flex, but the fact that Jamie smashed out a 72-hour Winter Downs 200 in December, to which I had the pleasure of running the first 50 miles with him until he dropped me like a bad penny, to then suffer a broken leg in the early part of the year, massively hindering his training, he has still managed to smash some staggering big back-to-back days with what can only be described as relentless positivity. But wait, that's not all. He's also raised a massive 11 grand for children with cancer in the process, which is obviously an amazing charity and cause. So if anyone deserves a shout out, it is this guy. Wow, James, unbelievable. The heaviest of heavy flexes. Kudos. It's very impressive. Heavy flex to everyone who told the line at the weekend, but especially those who completed their first ultra. You guys went up 2 massive mountains in some filthy weather, and like I said earlier, hopefully you were boring your friends, your family, someone down the post office, in the local shop, the people serving you at Tesco.
This is just
anybody,
you.
Anybody who will listen or maybe doesn't want to listen. Yeah, just share your adventures. You all did incredible. This was my moment. I was going to do tales from the trails on the stage, but we forgot.
Winging it, lastminute.com. I hope this is okay. You guys were incredible. Clapping hands emoji. This is a very underused emoji that I think should be more just used generally to everybody. Well done. Clapping hand emoji. It's the week before the race. Tension is building. I shared the tracker link to my colleagues who promised to watch. I also shared to family and friends. Sibling rivalry never changes, even if my big brother and I are straddling either side of 50. Going to Glasgow this weekend, probably walking about 15 miles a day whilst trying not to get heat stroke while searching for the coldest pint of cider I can find, and sing as many meanie bands as I can whilst learning about druids and sleeping in a tent in about 1 million degrees. You can't track me though unless I make it onto the BBC footage. This is what our brother was saying. He does have a point. That does sound pretty epic to me. Where's my bed number? I'll check the tracker. Number 49. What? That's my age. Oh man, my age is going to be plastered on my chest. We should speak to Shane about that. People are sensitive. Friday, and I have the day off work. I'll stay calm and anxiety will not get to me. It's 5 p.m. We can finally leave. We get there and join the back of the queue. My friend Emily is about 4 cars ahead, and it's wonderful to see her excited wave. Emily and I wander over to register. She's a natural born tutor. She encouraged me to my first Lakeland Trails event, and I was hooked. We discovered the Tea and Trails podcast just after her first 55k last year, and I've learned so much. While Emily is building her experience, this 30 was going to be the biggest race I've done yet, and I'm confident and nervous at the same time. I hope you realise you're not getting rid of me tomorrow, kid. I'm staying with you all the way, she boldly says. I'm so grateful to have her company. Emily is a cup half full person who knows her own mind. She's been a steadying hand, a guide and sympathiser to my more emotionally led nature. It's race day and we're ready. We're on our way to my first ever kit check experience. A bit of faff and we're through to the pen. I don't know what I was thinking. I've gone off running. My husband Mark is there with our 2 collies, my biggest fans and constant support. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, a final wave and we're off. As we settle in and jog up the road, I whisper to Emily, I think that's Mel Sykes. Oh yeah, and Robin Cassidy, she says. We're happy and Emily bows for a family cheering us on as we turn the bend and head up the hill, through the gates and we're on the trail. Yes, this is it. We reach Skiddaw House. Oh my God, there's Eddie and Gary by the gate. How do they look so tidy? Impeccable hosts. God, I'm a sweating mess. We're off again and the rain has closed in. Put your jackets on, shouts Gary as we head out. Not yet, Emily laughs back. My mouth is too full of the most delicious slice of chocolate and mint. Chatting away, we make great progress down Dash Falls. Em reins me in from smashing my legs too fast. We arrive at Highside still ridiculously happy and welcome immediate banter from the wonderful marshals who help us and then hustle us to get going. We're heading up. We know the route and remain unfazed. I curse my ballooning waterproof socks and stop to wring them out. I'm slower than Emily and worry she might get cold, but she doubles back and bravely helps me to wring out one sock while I extract the other. We push on, unafraid of the increasing gale. We summit, amazed at the marshals sheltering there for our safety. I insist on a photo and thank the marshals before stumbling away. As we drop off the top, the wind eases. Emily struggles to see through her glasses, so we tread carefully. We soon near the Latrig gates and Em is excited for the final descent to Applethwaite. She holds back a little and I manage to keep up. We fly down through the woodland and throw the final right turn. We cross the fields and can see the tents. So close now, there's a stile. Oh my God, a stile. Emily leaps over in a flash. I lift one leg and I back off and run in a little circle screaming. Cramps like I've never experienced before. Breathe. I'm over and still cramping. Come on. Oh no, another gate. Thank God it's open. Eddie and Gary's beaming faces are there. Wow. They immediately engage with Em. They're excited. I hear encouragement. I can't stop. I hear Eddie's laugh behind me. It's wonderful and this is incredible. I can hear Mark's cheers. Emily hangs slightly back. I tell her to get up here with me. We're through and another beaming face proffers a tea mug. Wow, yes, of course it's a mug. This is the Tea and Trails. Brilliant. And then we are guided to a tent where the mug is filled with the most welcome cup of tea ever. What a top idea. Now, where can I sit and get these damn socks off? Thank you, Eddie and Gary. That was awesome. Emily, you are the best. Yours grateful for all you give. Jenny Coupland, P.S. Let's do it again. Smiling emoji, smiling emoji, smiling emoji. There is nothing like doing something that really, like us, doing something that really scares you when you're 49. That's brave. That is super brave. And to have a chum that holds your hand the whole way.
Yeah,
having that shared experience. If you did send a Tales from the Trails, they're all there. They will all be read out. We've got some incredible stories. Keep them coming in. It's not too late. hello@teaandtrails.com. We love reading them all. As long as they're clean, user-friendly, we will get them all on the podcast.
That doesn't matter, does it? That's never stopped us.
Let's face it.
Filthier the better.
Now we managed to do that live podcast without any moments of you looking at me going, that is going to need to be edited, Eddie.
Thank you, Protein Rebel, for bringing us home. Gentle on your stomach, driving your performance. Whether you're trying to get a PB, or training for your first marathon, or completing your 10th Ultra, Protein Rebel's products are easy to digest with no artificial additives, providing both performance and overall health benefits. And it is, we've shouted about it for weeks and weeks and weeks now, but this weekend is the Protein Rebel Running Festival. We hope you guys have a blast. I hope it goes well. Yeah, and everybody who is over there, have a fantastic weekend. It's listeners' question time again. Hello, Eddie and Gary. I've got a question. Could you do a rundown of your favourite bits of kit and why? There is so much on the market nowadays, and I know it's all personal choice, but some key pieces will be fab. I never know, is it chaffer or chafer?
I would say chafer.
Chafer.
Chafer, but there's definitely a running club we could find, the Chafers.
Many thanks, Kaz Watkins. Okay, you go first. What's your top 5?
I think feet comfort is up there. If you have sore feet, and I know this is so hard, isn't it? Because also it depends on the trail you're running in, what shoe you should find. My kind of learning on this is to go for comfort over grip. And this is because I run the longer stuff.
Out of your current roster, what are you going for? You can only pick one.
Probably my North Face Vector Endurance 4.
Okay, yeah.
But as I was running behind you many times, I was like, this is not the shoe for this terrain. When it's so wet, the grip isn't brilliant. Not the lug, but the sole is quite big. So on technical stuff, you can catch the back of it, which is the last thing you want to do. But on the descent off Skiddaw was incredible. But then on anything muddy, it wasn't. There's no right or wrong, but I think comfort.
Well, I'm with you. If I was going to pick one out of all of my roster, it would be the Ultra Mont Blanc Carbon. They've got the vibrant soles.
Why are you always trying to find other? You go, that is the most great shoe. Why then?
Well,
were you in
because
Scarpas?
I just get seduced by. Well, no, because Kamini said, "Do you want to try these on?" They were just like demo shoes.
You're so brave. I would never ever put a demo shoe on and run 20 miles in them.
On a race day, yeah, I'd really struggle with that. But on a day like that, but they were awesome. They had vibrant soles. Yeah, no carbon plate, but the foam was
Let's
fine.
just say but you were the one that ended up in the stream, not me.
I did slip over, yeah. But yeah, definitely the Ultra Mont Blanc. They're light, they're comfortable, they're fast, they're roomy, especially on that second half of a race. And that shoe must have been around for a couple of years now. And I think, like we said on the stage, I probably own 5 or 6 of the so-called top 10 carbon-plated shoes. So I've definitely tested. I've kissed a few frogs.
Yeah, you've got to test them. See, jog. My second one was backpack, and you haven't put backpack in there. But probably as well, when you invest in a longer race, I went heavy in the backpack for the spine and everything. But actually, I've come back, and my Salomon 12 litre, I can fit 30 litres worth of stuff in it. I'm absolutely sure.
You love that. You absolutely
I
love
that. You were always trying to get me to try other ones.
Want to try this one, Eddie? No,
I'm never gonna find a better fit for a woman's physique.
You can't say never. Surely you can't say never.
I can't beat it. It's got everything I want. It's got the pockets, so I know where I'm at with it. It's also been on adventures with me now. I'm attached to it, and I loved my Montaigne Gecko 30 litre for the spine, but they haven't got the doing up bits because of the weight. It was hard to get it to do tight enough when you've got that much weight in the backpack. Whereas a 12 litre, I filled that, and I've used it as a day sack when I've done back-to-back days, and it's had to carry my overnight stuff as well. So you can load it really heavy, and because it's got drawstrings on the side, if you only want to use it as a 5 litre, you can pull, like I did on Saturday, you can just pull them in tight, and then you can just release them. So it is my go-to. And then within that, I have now upgraded my water bottles to the Innovate Hydro Pack bottles. I was let on to this little tip by one of my clients because you can do the lid up. So you can fill them up and then you just twist the top of it and it doesn't leak.
Like a lock.
Like a lock. So they look exactly the same as the Salomon bottles, slightly different shape, but the top you can lock. And so if you are going on a big adventure day, you can put 2 more bottles in your backpack and they won't leak. Or if you're traveling with your pack and you don't want it on or whatever.
There's nothing worse when your bottles leak.
There is nothing worse than when you press your breast and it's all wet. So those have been recent, and that is I will not. And they're really robust bottles. You've had issues maybe as well. The Salomon bottles feel like I've had the top pop off. I've cracked them. These ones feel more robust. We should say this is non-sponsored. This is nothing. This is all our personal. If you were going to do, or you wanted to put bottles in your drop bag, you could do them up knowing that they wouldn't leak as well. So that's amazing. What else have you got on that? Oh, your core sensor. You've put that as a top 5.
Because I do track my heart rate data. I do not trust the optical data on the wrist. I've got it on now. The core sensor on the arm it smashes it every time. I think once, just the other week when I was out with Robbo and Aaron.
Oh, sorry, I said core center. It's the chorus. It's the chorus heart rate.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about your heart rate, the heats. Since I was like, that's your top five. Sorry, I was confused. Okay.
Yeah. It does exactly what it says. Only once it's glitched, and I kind of think it probably was the Garmin.
Do you like it as well because it's quite tight?
No, I don't like the look of it, actually, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I do find a bit like when I'm running and my bingo wings slap against my backpack.
Yeah. It makes my arms
when
look
I
a bit
look down,
chubby.
I'm like, what the hell? What's going out the bottom of my arm?
Yeah, don't like the look.
so
But I can't
silly.
fault it. It never misses
No.
a beat. It's been
And it
absolutely
picks
fantastic.
up the minute I turn my Garmin on, it's there, it goes, I'm attached.
I don't know what the tech is there for other stuff, but my last time I bought a Garmin heart rate monitor, that was a battery. I had to pop in it. Maybe they're rechargeable now.
I've only charged it once since I've had it.
No way. I charge mine every week.
Yeah, but I'm not a heart rate.
I
You
wear it
yours
24/7,
faithfully. Do you wear it like all day?
Well, because I'll be
Why
running
put it
later,
on
yeah. I'll just leave it on because I'm running later. I don't like wearing it to go shopping.
I wouldn't put it past you.
Next up for me, and I've owned two of these now, the Terex Xperia shorts. I've got the red and the blue. The red, I'm certain, are going to be my Lakeland 100 shorts.
Were you disappointed people at the weekend by not having these on? What was that?
Well,
Did you
I
try
felt
to
a
put
bit
them on their
self-conscious.
tent?
I put them on, yeah,
I knew
because
you were
they-
going to put them on because I saw the getting them out, and then you came out and you went.
Just felt a bit self-conscious. They were actually different shorts I was going to wear, but they've got like a real slit up the side. And because it was a bit breezy.
Did
I
you
just
think
thought,
Eddie's not going to be? Yeah, if Eddie gets a whiff
all
of
over me.
this.
I saw with Jacob
s-
the day before.
Yeah. You were like, I just want a calm day. I don't want to be batting her off all day.
But they've got loads of short storage pockets around the waist. And I'm not exaggerating, they are zero bounce. So now if I'm going for a dog jog with Rex, and I wouldn't wear these very often, to be honest, because they're special. But I wouldn't need to take a fanny pack or anything like that. Put loads and loads of gels in there, Kendall mint cake, whatever it is. They've got little pole loops in the back. I've never tried the pole loops, but it's
I'm
all
not
there.
sold on these, to be fair. I'm not sold on these.
And if you buy them from
no.
Adidas, you can get your name on them too.
Have you done that?
I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that.
Ah, it is.
Got a heavy flex.
Garmin Endure, we're both Garmin. Where is my Garmin? You've got yours on, I bet. My Garmin lives by the door. Now, my only thing about my Garmin Endure, I love it. It's got us up. The nav on it is incredible. The battery life is incredible. My only thing is, as a woman, it's enormous on my wrist. It is.
I don't know if you've got the
enormous.
Endure. Mine's quite small. It's got a smaller bezel than the Phoenix.
Sure, me. Yes, I have got the Endure. It's massive. That's massive, Gary.
Obviously, don't go out and buy a watch just because you want a watch. But if you're in the market for a new GPS watch and you're in that Phoenix, I think it's the Phoenix 8 bracket now. The Garmin Endure, it's got enormous battery life. It's slightly lighter. It's got its nylon strap. But just like the Core Sensor, it's never missed a beat. And like I say, if you're in that market and you're thinking, oh, a Phoenix 8 Pro Soul or whatever it is, you'll save yourself a few bucks if you buy the Endure.
Two more things to mention, I think, which have been game-changing things on the market for both of us. The Precision Fuel Hydration 90-gram gel pouches are just absolute game changers for being able to carry that much fuel. Not only carry that much fuel to keep it super simple, but they're so neat and tidy. And you can take two of those, you've got enough fuel for your long run. If you're racing, that is how much fuel you're getting in. There's no like ifs or buts. They're so easy. You just unscrew it, slurp it in, don't think, just swallow. We need to add that to our ending of the podcast only. Don't think, just swallow. I think they've changed racing at the top end. I think they've changed racing for everybody that knows that they've got that amount of fuel without having to carry so much weight. In a race, you love them or you hate them. In training, always love them. In a race, I can be like, I never want to see those again.
I love them for 7 hours. After that, it's hit and miss. But their drink mix, I'll back up with the Precision Fuel and Hydration. I appreciate, yes, they do support the podcast for quite a few years now, but along with the gels, the carbohydrate and the electrolyte drink mix, that is my go-to drink of choice because you just get that salt and it's a decent amount of salt too. It's not like if you buy a bottle of Lucozade or Powerade, that's going to be sad times after about 8 hours when you're cramping up. Yeah, definitely love that. The last bit of kit from me is the Phoenix HM65R-T version 2. That is the head torch that you will see on so many people's heads when they're doing the Spine Race, Lakeland 100, all these big races where you need the headlight. But Phoenix have just launched a HP12R-T, so it could be replaced. We're lucky we're going to get sent a couple of them out to test. It's got 1,300 lumens, so slightly less, but I think 1300 is more than enough. Slightly bigger battery for people who, the geeks out there. I think it's a 4000 milliamp as opposed to a 3400 milliamp, and it's got a red light on the back, and the battery is on the back. So for those people who don't like
the heavy
that kind
of the front
weight,
yeah.
then you just shifted the weight to the back.
It'd be interesting to test. I love that the podcast gives us that ability to, we are out there, we're walking the walk, we're talking the talk, and we will test, and we would never ever recommend anything that we didn't use.
Was it on the winter downs? I saw loads of people with little red lights on the back.
Yeah, it was mandatory kit. Same with the spine, red light on the back.
Pretty sure the HM65R-T doesn't have a red light on the back.
No, it doesn't, because I had to buy another. Well, I had to put another red light on my backpack.
Depends on the scales. It could be my Lakeland 100 head torch.
I'll definitely be shining it in your eyes at some point at Lakeland 100.
Oh yeah,
Come on, Gary, keep moving. You're doing all right. The sweeper's just behind. You can do it.
Oh, not this year. Not this year.
Not this year. Come on, Gary. 22 hours. It's in sight. I can get him. He's been going all the way through this podcast. Everyone, come on. This is too long. I can get him on Lakeland 100. He'll talk about that forever. We love the listeners' questions. New little saves me chatting to you endlessly. They don't need to be as sensible as the kit chat. Hopefully that's useful. Do you think that's
sandwich fillings?
Lubed, honestly.
Most embarrassing moment on the trails. I can immediately think what mine is. I won't share it unless I get asked.
Oh, here we go. Love it. What about a bit of running? Any running? What we're doing this week? I haven't been my best form.
I feel like I've done a race.
I've either done a race or I've been out at Clute for 2 nights in a row with only drinking and not refueling properly. That's, that proper so thirsty, so hungry. I had to have a bowl of midnight shreddies on Sunday night because
incredible.
I was so calorie deficient after
Do you do the
weekend.
frosted shreddies? They're like a proper treat.
Shh, we don't know about those in our house.
I'm scared to look at the morning report on Garmin. I'm not going on the scales. The amount of chips I've shoveled down.
Gary.
So when we went for breakfast,
Twiglet lakes I followed around. Honestly, if anything, you need to put more chips in them.
When Ray and I and Dave went and we met with Robbo, Lisa and Jocelyn and Nicola at the filling station in Keswick, and I'm standing there looking at the menu. I'm going, I've had so much junk all weekend. I had beer last night. I'm going scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs, scrambled eggs. What do you want? Full English, please.
I love that. I love that about you, that you're like, Eddie, you've got to go on the stairs, got to go on the stairs, I've got to do it. And then you're like, yeah, 3 donuts and a full English please. Can I just pop in there as well? It was such a joy to meet your family who have heard, I feel like I know them intimately, but they don't, and they probably feel the same about me, but I've never actually touched them before to meet them all. And then also all your pals as well that obviously have heard. Robbo I've met on the podcast, but again, we've never actually embraced. And so seeing Robbo in action, the beast, now I know what you mean when you go, we were redlining up there, the fact that he was having none of us, was he? And we were like, Robbo, it's like, I'm not stopping. But everybody else as well, all the names I've heard, seeing them all and seeing their little smiling faces, it was lovely that the crew were there.
I really did feel supported, so yeah, appreciate each and every one of you coming.
We've digressed what we're actually doing this week, workout wise, running wise. I've done a workout. Have you done a workout?
I have done a workout. I'm not going to say what it is because I'm going to talk about it next week.
No, but I felt we had to get you. What?
We're going to go Robbo, Matt Neal and Mel Sykes. Going to go and crush some trails.
They are my friends. They are my friends. And you've actually... I did not get an invite.
Oh, goodness me. It's ended the podcast. Sorry.
How do you do that? Like, it's a bit like as well, in a few weeks, you're going to go, me and Robin, we're meeting up. We're going...
It evolved, see, because Robbo wants to do Joss Nail around. Matt done a Joss Nail around. He's well into that. So there's lots of chit chat over the weekend and it's evolved.
That would be, I cannot wait to see the combination of Robbo and Matt on the trails because, as you know, oh my God.
I'll be hanging back with Mel.
You and Mel will be having some Zone 4 chats.
Yeah.
It was lovely also to see Matt, the king of the Pennine Way, Lakeland 100, he is actually the king of the Pennine Way.
He is.
And we shared the recce miles with him I've shared lots of recce miles with him. Well, not, I would say with him, I'd say behind, about 20 metres behind him for the Pennine Way. And also then he came on our Northern Traverse recce. He did quite a lot of the logistics actually as well, didn't he? And he's up for the Northern Traverse next year as well. He will be one to follow. That's lovely. What a fun weekend you'll have. Yeah, I've done my workout. The next few weeks are mad. I don't think I'm going to get in a lot of long runs, so it's going to be a case of trying to stack my mileage, morning run, evening run, going out when I don't want to. 40 minutes here, 45 minutes there. It is what it is. But I have created
Try and give yourself some grace,
workout.
Eddie.
Yeah, I've created a new workout, which I did yesterday. I walked away from it, and then one of my children came and found me and went, "You're right, Mum. You walked out of the carriage.
Little Tia.
Hobbly, little Tia." I created a new monster. Perhaps not what you should do 5 weeks before a race, but needs must, and I enjoyed it. But I'll share that with you next week. I think the biggest thing for both of us is just to take a moment, recover, get that HRV back up. You've got how many weeks? This will be your last long run?
Well, I'm championing the zero taper, so I might do another long run. 3 weeks this weekend coming up.
3 weeks this weekend, and then you do a 2 week. Yeah, I would probably do the same. With your experience, I would probably want. You are experienced.
Because since London, I've looked at my Strava bars. And since London, it's been
you're not done much.
Up and down.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah. Right. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Thanks for listening. Share this episode. Share the pod. Share the love. Pop over to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Subscribe, or even consider becoming one of our awesome Patreons. Did we see an increase in Patreons after the weekend, Gary? Ding, ding, ding.
No.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go. Yes.
We should ask for a show of hands, shouldn't we?
We should have had a code as
front
people
row
came into the
seats
tent.
for Patreons.
So many things we could add to this. And when people ask for selfie, your Patreon, we didn't, your Patreon. No, right? £3. Nah, we're joking. We're joking. Thanks to X Miles for Simple Hydration, Phoenix Light UK, Harrier Trail Running, and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Here are your discount codes: T10 2025 for Shocks, T15 for Protein Rebel, T-Time 2025 for Simple Hydration, and T10 for Harrier Trail Running. Thanks to all our partners and you Patreons too. We couldn't do this without you and your ongoing support.
Good luck to everybody out on the trails, racing, training, recce, solo, miles or miles with mates. Yeah, big shout out to everyone taking part in the Pennon Ultra, Wales Ultra 100 miler or the 50 miler. That looks incredible. Yeah, good luck, guys. Whatever you're doing, let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to your future self, breathe and believe, and roll with the joy, and the miles will look after themselves. My name is Gary Thwaites.
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was the Tea and Trails podcast.